In this video, I'm going to share with you the results of an experiment that I recently conducted involving the tech support departments of 5 different hosting companies. 5 companies featured in this video are Siteground, which I know is very popular with a lot of you, probably because I've been recommending them for quite some time. The next one is MDD Hosting, a kind of middle-of-the-road hosting company, which again I know a few of you are using. Also tested out a company called Armada, which I hadn't heard of before this video, but they reached out to me and offered me some hosting to test out, so I thought, hey, why not? The next one is HostPapa, which again, a couple of you have recommended that I check. And the final one is a new hosting company on the block called Cybrancee. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce them, but yeah, they're really, really cheap. In fact, they offer hosting from like free. I think their bottom packages, it's completely free. So yeah, interested to see how they performed in my support experiment. Now, support is obviously a very important factor when it comes to choosing your hosting alongside the price and alongside the speed and, features and all the other stuff that you look at when you're buying some hosting. But yeah, support, I think, can make or break a hosting company because, when things go wrong, when your WordPress starts playing up or you have some sort of hosting issue, you want a company that's fast and responsive and able to get you back up and running as quickly as possible. So to test out these 5 companies, I of course set up a hosting account with each one of them. And by the way, you'll find links to each of the companies in the description below. They are affiliate links, so if you use them, I will earn a commission. And you'll also find some discount vouchers down there, if I happen to have one for the respective company. And again, if you use those, they are affiliate vouchers, so I will earn a commission. But there's some big discounts to be had, so be sure to check out those vouchers in the description. So yeah, I set up a hosting account with each of the companies. I then installed my template, my affiliate marketing template, which, by the way, if you would like a copy of it, I'll put a link up now to a page on my website where you can just pop in your email address and I will send you that template. Very easy to install and you'll have an affiliate website up and running in no time. So I installed the template. So I had 5 identical sites running on the 5 different hosting companies. I then created a problem with each of those sites. And as we're coming up to Halloween, I thought it was time to bring back the tick box of doom. I'm sure you know the tick box that I'm on about. I've done a video on it in the past. I'll put a link up to that now. You'll also find links in the description to everything I talk about. But yeah, that tick box can severely mess up your life. Basically, when it's ticked, it blocks all of the search engine spiders from coming into your site and indexing your site. And therefore, if that's ticked, you won't appear on search engines and you won't get any traffic. And yeah, it's all a bit of a disaster. So I ticked the box on my site and I then reached out to tech support saying that Google was reporting that it couldn't index my site and that it was set to no index. So a fairly easy problem to fix. All they had to do was say, have you checked your reading settings? You might need to untick that box. That was all there was to it. It was a really easy problem to fix. And anyone that's used WordPress should be able to answer it. And that should be the first thing they think of when someone says my site is not being indexed and Google is saying it's set to no index. That would be the first thing that you should go and check. So let's see how they did. And yeah, I think you might be surprised in terms of some of the responses that some of these companies gave me. Let's go. Hello, it's Alex here. Hope you're all well. One very quick thing before we get started. If you're not yet subscribed, why not do so right now? Click that button below. Make sure you click the bell. And if you enjoy this video, if you like it, if it helps you out in any way, please click the like button because that really helps me out. Right, let's jump into this. Let's start with Siteground, the company that I've been recommending for quite some time. I found them really good, and generally when I've asked them tech support questions, they've been okay. They provide tech support via live chat mainly. I think there is a telephone support number as well, but you have to get a PIN number and it's all that kind of stuff. I will say that their live chat is quite well hidden within their support area, so you have to kind of find it in order to get the live chat. But once you get on the live chat, they're always very enthusiastic and very friendly and very keen to help. So the live chat started well. They were very enthusiastic, very friendly, used lots of exclamation marks, as I would expect from Siteground. And I explained my problem, and they went away and they came back with a link to an article on Yoast. For those of you that are not familiar with Yoast, Yoast make an SEO plugin. It's a very popular SEO plugin, but it's not the SEO plugin that I'm running on my template site, and it's not basically anything to do with what my problem is. The article didn't mention the setting within reading, and it went through, talking about removing meta tags and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, not the answer that I was looking for. So I came back and I gave Siteground Tech Support a little clue. I said, is it not a WordPress setting or something that I can adjust? And they had a little think again, and then they basically came back and said, well, we only support our hosting. If it's a WordPress problem, then you need to get a web developer. And well, with that, I was like, okay, whatever. See ya. Because that's just not very helpful. If you're new to setting up websites and you just create your hosting account and you've installed WordPress or whatever, and that tick box is ticked and you've got this problem, being told that you need to go and find a web developer is just not helpful because, well, you probably don't want to do that. And then if you did find a web developer, you could end up paying someone to untick a tick box on your website. So yeah, that was enough for me, and I'm going to give Siteground a big fat fail on this particular test. So next up is MDD Hosting, which is a company that I've tested out before. They're kind of okay. Their speeds are okay, and the features and stuff you get with their hosting is all okay. I've not used them on any live sites before, but yeah, I had kind of low expectations for some reason in terms of this little test. But anyway, this is what happened. They've got live chat, very similar to Siteground. It's a bit easier to find though compared to Siteground. So I jumped into a live chat and told them about my problem. I did also give them a little clue, just as I did to Siteground. I said maybe it's a WordPress setting I need to check. Nothing too major. And they went away and they had a little think, and they came back and they quickly said, you need to check your reading settings. There might be a little tick box in there that you need to untick. And wow, I was amazed. They'd fixed it, and literally it took them about 10 minutes. So I was very impressed with that. It's changed my overall kind of thoughts of MDD hosting. I think that actually they're okay. And by the way, I'm going to be doing a more in-depth review of all of the companies mentioned in this video. In subsequent videos, I'm going to do videos around each company, and also a long comparison, weighing up different speeds and features and all that kind of stuff to give you a really good impression of which hosting company I think is best. But in terms of tech support and getting me up and running and fixing my problem quickly, MDD hosting, they definitely passed with flying colours. So yeah, really impressive. Next up is a company called HostPapa, which is not a company I'm particularly familiar with. It was recommended to me by one of you guys, by a viewer. So I thought they're worth checking out. They're kind of middle of the road pricing and kind of middle of the road service as well. But yeah, I jumped into their live chat, live tech support chat. They're very friendly. I told them about my problem and they had to think about it. I also gave them a clue. I thought it was only fair that I give them all a clue after I gave SiteGround a clue. So I asked them, could it be a WordPress setting? And I was kind of shut down and said, no, Alex, it's not to do with your WordPress, which I thought was a little bit weird. And then I was asked if I have an SEO, and I didn't quite know what that meant. I thought maybe she was talking about an SEO plugin. So I said, well, I'm running Rank Math. And it was at that point she said, okay, I'm going to escalate you to L2 support, which I guess is level 2. And that involved her opening a ticket and me having to wait. And that was kind of the end of the live chat. And I was just left waiting for a reply to my ticket. So I think it was about 4 hours later that I got a reply to my L2 support ticket. And they said that I had a missing robots.txt file, which I didn't. It was clearly there. If you went to the site and went /robots.txt, it was there because it's generated by Rank Math, I think, or whatever. It was definitely there. So it wasn't that. So I thought, okay, I'll give them another clue. And I highlighted the little bit of code within WordPress that's generated by WordPress when you got that tick box checked. It's basically a little meta tag that says, no index and all that stuff. So yeah, I said, is it to do with this bit of code? And they said, oh yeah, that'll be it. You need to remove that code. Which was like, okay, well, that's not the right answer because I didn't add the code, and I think asking me to hack around in the theme code or the WordPress code is probably not the solution. So they asked me a few more questions about that little bit of code, like where I found it and all that stuff, after I clearly said I'm not going to be able to remove any bits of code. And it was at that point that they came back and suggested that I check my reading settings. So woohoo, we got the answer in the end. That was about 7 hours after my initial live chat session. So yeah, it took a long time, but we got there in the end. But, you know, a little bit hit and miss, because if they were talking to someone that maybe didn't know what they were doing so much and, you know, started asking them to remove code or mess around with robots.txt files, that could end up in a whole load of mess when it wasn't needed. It was simply, you know, just the tick box. So they did pass in the end. I kind of gave them a little bit of help. So, you know, draw what you will from that. I'm going to say they passed, but only just. So now we've got a company called Cybrancee. Cybrancee? I don't know how to say it. But these guys are fairly new on the scene. I get the impression that they could be quite a small company. And these guys reached out to me actually a while back and said, would you like to promote us? You know, we've got an affiliate program. The usual stuff, we'll pay to be in a video, that kind of thing. Which, you know, I didn't accept any money for a video. I am an affiliate, but I'm an affiliate to all the companies mentioned because, you know, why not? And all the links are below. I've already said that. But yeah, these guys, they kind of caught my attention because they're so cheap. They have a free hosting package, which is pretty useless because you don't get much. But then, you know, their next packages are also ridiculously cheap. And in fact, they've given me a coupon code, which again is in the description, which brings their hosting down to just, you know, £1.50 a month, something like that, a couple of dollars a month, basically really cheap. So I didn't have high expectations in terms of their tech support. And, well, I was kind of right. So let me go into the details. They don't have a live chat system, which is always a bit disappointing because when you've got a tech support problem, you're generally kind of working on something and you generally want it fixed pretty quick so that you can carry on with your work. You don't want to raise a ticket or send an email and then have to wait a day, do you? So a little bit disappointing that there was no live chat. They have a live chat on their homepage for like sales inquiries and stuff, which they don't always reply to either. But they don't seem to have live chat for tech support. So I raised a ticket and I waited. They replied to my ticket in less than 10 minutes, and they replied with a link to a support thread on wordpress.org, which was about a plugin, a sitemap plugin that I wasn't even running. So that didn't help. So I replied and said, yeah, that didn't help. Have you got any other ideas? And they came back and said something about my sitemap, and that if I didn't have pages in my sitemap, then that would cause the problem, which of course is not correct either. So I gave them a little bit of a clue. I again highlighted the bit of code that WordPress adds when you have that button ticked and said, maybe this is something to do with it. They came back with another link to another support thread on wordpress.org, which was all very techie and lots of people talking about this problem, but it wasn't related to the tick box. It was some other problem. So I replied back again and said, oh, that looks a bit too techie for me. Have you got any other ideas? Is it not just an option in WordPress? Again, you know, another clue. Oh my God, I help these guys out. And, well, they replied with this, basically saying, yeah, they're familiar with WordPress, but there isn't an option to turn this on and off. Maybe I need to get an SEO plugin. So it was at this point that I kind of gave up and thought, okay, we're not getting anywhere here. And well, I was slightly disappointed because I was really hoping that they were going to be good, because actually, you know, their hosting is really cheap, but in terms of performance and stuff, it's not too bad. So for Cybrancee, I'm going to have to say it was a fail. And yeah, a little bit disappointed, but I still think that, you know, if you kind of know what you're doing and you just want some really, really cheap hosting, then they're probably still okay. Final company is called Armada, which is quite a new company to me. Again, they're another company that reached out and asked me to check out their hosting. And, well, I've got to say I've been quite impressed with them in terms of speed tests and all that kind of stuff. They fared really well. And as I already mentioned, there will be a video on all that stuff really soon. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. So I had high hopes when it came to their support. I jumped on their live chat and explained my problem. The first thing they came back with was that I should check the permalinks. Basically let them know what they were. It was never going to be anything to do with permalinks, so I'm not quite sure where they were going with that, but yeah, I happily shared the configuration of my permalinks. Next, they asked me to check some rank math settings, which is a good place to look because rank math does have a setting to block robots, very similar to WordPress. So we checked that, and of course, it wasn't that. They then came back and said that I didn't actually have a problem with my website, which of course I still did. But they asked me to check some more rank math settings regardless, and of course, it wasn't any of them. And then I kind of waited and lots of time passed. The live chat went a bit quiet. Played a couple of games of Apex, waited a bit longer. And then they came back and said that they thought it could be a caching problem. And I should go back into Google Search Console and press the validate fix button, which, well, I didn't bother doing because that's a bit pointless because we hadn't actually fixed anything. And yeah, then a bit more time passed. They then asked for a few more Search Console screenshots, and then out of nowhere they said it's because you've got the tick box ticked in your reading settings. Woohoo! So I was very pleased with that. They actually got to the solution. It did take 45 minutes, which is quite a long time, but they didn't send me off to any random articles on Yoast or on WordPress.org or anything like that. They did kind of take me through lots of things step by step to find the solution. So I'll give them credit for that. And, you know, it's a pass because, yeah, we did actually get it fixed in the end. So, yeah, that's it. All the 5 companies fully tested in terms of tech support. So out of the 5 companies, I've got to say MDD Hosting are probably the winners there because they sorted me out really quickly and without too much messing around. My second favourite is going to be Host Armada, who got there in the end after about 45 minutes and didn't, ask me to hack away at any code. Finally, we got HostPapa, which took like a day to fix it. So they're probably in third place. Afraid Siteground and Cybrancee, they didn't actually get me fixed. So very disappointed in Siteground, I've got to say. So that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found that useful. Overall, if I was going to recommend one of the companies today, I would recommend Host Armada based on the other stuff that I've been testing, which I'm going to be talking to you about in some future videos. But basically, I prefer their control panel. I think their service is faster. And, although it took a little bit longer on the tech support does seem pretty good. So, yeah, if you want to go check them out, as I say, there's links to all the companies mentioned. And I do actually have a code for Host Armada. So, yeah. Go check that out, go use that, go get your discount if you want. I'd love to know your experiences with website hosting, tech support. Do leave them in the comments below. I do read all the comments that I get and I'll try to reply to as many as I possibly can. If you're not yet subscribed, you can do so by clicking on my face. Want to check out the vlog channel? I really need to upload to that sometime soon. And here are a couple more videos. They've been chosen specially for you. By the way, I go live every single week. So if you're subscribed, you'll get a notification and you won't miss it. Until next time, bye for now.